China's top general, second only to President Xi Jinping in the military command, has been put under investigation and accused of grave violations of discipline and the law by the Chinese Defense Ministry. This is the most astonishing escalation yet in Xi's purge of the People's Liberation Army elite. China's top general, Zhang Youxia, was vice chairman of the Central Military Commission, or CMC. The Communist Party group headed by the country's leader Xi Jinping, which controls the armed forces. The CMC, usually made up of around 7 people, has now been cut down to just 2 members, Xi and General Zhang Shengmin. As speculation swirls about the Chinese political purges, questions mount over a renewed crackdown within the People's Liberation Army. What it means for the readiness of China's army, the navy and the air force, and what it may mean for regional stability. On WION Wideangle this week, we dig deeper into the Chinese upheaval to understand what these purges reveal about Xi's power and China's future. China's most senior military leadership is being reorganized, now whittled down to just 2 members. On the 24th of January, China's Defense Ministry said it was investigating Zhang Youxia and Liu Shanli, 2 high-level military officials. The move consolidates control of the People's Liberation Army in the hands of Chinese President Xi Jinping and 1 military general. And this change is drawing attention from around the world, because this change displays signs of Xi Jinping's tight grip over China. So who are Zhang Youxia and Liu Shanli, and have they been removed? Zhang Youxia is a member of the Political Bureau of the Central Committee who served as Vice Chairman of the Central Military Commission, or CMC, while Liu Shanli is a former Chinese general who served as the Chief of Staff of the CMC Joint Staff Department. Zhang, 75, was widely seen as President Xi Jinping's closest military ally and one of just a few leading officers with combat experience. On the 29th of January, the Chinese Defense Ministry spokesperson said that a probe into 2 former Chinese generals is a major achievement.
The resolute investigation and punishment of Zhang Youxia and Liu Shanli is a major achievement in the party and the military's anti-corruption campaign, and an important demonstration of the party's and the military's resolve and capability. It is of great significance for winning the tough, protracted, and overall battle against corruption in the military.
In November 2012, after Xi became General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party, Xi Jinping has pursued the toughest and longest anti-corruption campaign in party history. President Xi launched waves of anti-corruption drives through various departments, a move that he believed was necessary for the party's existence and the country's stability. Anti-corruption campaigns have now become a signature style of Xi Jinping's leadership of the Communist Party of China, with agencies like the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection and National Supervisory Commission taking on greater significance. Last year, in October 2025, the Chinese Communist Party expelled 9 top generals in one of its largest public crackdowns on the military in decades. 9 leaders were suspected of serious financial crimes. Most of them were 3-star generals and part of the party's decision-making Central Committee. They were also expelled from the military. Of the 9 expelled officials, He Weidong was considered the most prominent as the second highest ranking official in China's military after President Xi Jinping. He Weidong was part of the Politburo, the Communist Party's apex decision-making body, making him the first Politburo-serving member to be investigated. Also in 2025, the authorities investigated over 1 million people for corruption and political indiscipline, more than in any other year of Xi's rule. 983,000 were punished. The number of investigations was at least 15% higher than in 2024 and 60% more than in 2023.
Yes, General Shang is the most senior person up to this time, but there have been some very senior people who have been removed or investigated. So from that point of view, I wouldn't say it's unusual or unique. Bear in mind as well that there have been millions of party officials disciplined or arrested or removed since Xi Jinping came to power. In 2025 alone, there were 1 million such cases, and there were 900,000 such cases in 2024. Even a defense minister was removed in 2023. So purges are a very normal part of Chinese Communist Party politics, unfortunately.
The Central Military Commission, or CMC, is China's top military decision-making and command body. CMC oversees all of China's armed forces. It decides their strategy and courses of action and manages their deployment, personnel, equipment, funding, and assets. CMC is an organ of the Chinese Communist Party. Orders from the CMC shape decisions on all military matters. Unlike democracies, where armies are bound to civilian institutions of the state, the People's Liberation Army, or PLA, answers to the Central Military Commission, a party organ chaired by Xi.
It's the PLA, People's Liberation Army, we can say is 100% belongs to the Chinese Communist Party. It has nothing to do with the Chinese people or the Chinese nation. So basically now they have, in theory, have 7 people in the Central Military Commission. They have the say over the army, but now 5 out of that 7 members were already gone. So now there are only 2 people remaining. So basically, the army listens to the party.
At the core of the CMC are its chairman, vice chairman, and other members who meet regularly to deliberate on national defense issues. At its peak in the 1960s, the CMC had over a dozen standing members, a number that decreased during the Deng Xiaoping era. In the reform era, CMC membership was standardized to include the directors of the 4 general departments and heads of PLA services. However, these norms were disrupted after Xi came to power and launched a series of purges. In the last few years, Xi has removed dozens of senior military officials in just under 3 years, a level of upheaval unmatched in modern Chinese history. They were trusted and favored by Xi Jinping, but now they are mostly all dismissed. Not even Xi's loyalists have been spared from his sweeping campaign to clean up the military.
I think now it becomes very clear. Now it is a war between Xi Jinping and the previous party system, which was, I think, established under Deng Xiaoping, the so-called collective leadership. So although there are still dictatorship, but there were at the top level there was a collective leadership, like maybe 5 or 8 top members of the party can discuss things and have a say. But now Xi Jinping wants his personal dictatorship over the party's collective leadership. So I think in all these years, he has been trying to consolidate his power. He even went so far as to push for a change of the Chinese constitution to eliminate the term limit of the chairman of the country. And that time, I think he gained support from the military. That's why he was able to do it.
Apart from Xi himself, Rocket Force General Zhang Shengmin is the only non-army officer currently on the CMC. China's rocket force, officially known as the People's Liberation Army Rocket Force, plays a pivotal role in Beijing's military strategy. Zhang is also the secretary of the CMC Disciplinary Inspection Commission, the PLA's anti-corruption watchdog agency, and an enforcer of Xi's control over the military. Since Xi became president and commander-in-chief more than a decade ago, the defense budget has ballooned to 1.78 trillion yuan, or $245.65 billion. In 2025, from 720 billion yuan, or $103 billion in 2013. Xi aims to complete full military modernization by 2035, with China's military developing new missiles, ships, submarines, and surveillance technologies. Given the recent purges and the current CMC composition, it is certain that the strongest voice in defense right now is that of Xi. Despite lacking a strong military squad, will this dynamic have ramifications for the CMC as the supreme national defense decision-making body? From Mao Zedong's Cultural Revolution to Xi Jinping's anti-corruption wave, the leaders of China's Communist Party have not hesitated to take whatever steps they think are necessary to secure and remain in power. Here are some of the most prominent figures who were purged under Xi Jinping in the last decade. Zhu Yongkang, the former head of China's security services, was the highest-ranking figure who fell in Xi's sweeping anti-corruption crackdown in 2012. 2 years later, in 2014, Zhu was expelled after he was convicted of a series of corruption charges, including bribery, abuse of power, and leaking state secrets to rival allies. His fall began after an investigation by the Communist Party for serious disciplinary violation, a term usually used to refer to corruption. Zhu's son and wife were also jailed in 2016 for corruption. Reportedly, the Chinese authorities seized $14.5 billion from Zhu's family and arrested more than 300 of Zhu's relatives, political allies, protégés, and staff. Zhu Kaiho, the former general who served as vice chairman of China's Central Military Commission, was expelled from the CCP in 2014 amid accusations of bribery before his death in 2015. Zhu was then the most senior member of the military who was targeted under Xi's anti-corruption campaign in 2012. The Chinese authorities had said that Zhu Kaiho had confessed to taking massive bribes in exchange for assistance in promotions, which led to his expulsion in 2014. Later in 2017, the party also confirmed that Zhu was among the 6 people who had plotted to seize power from Xi. Hu Buqiong, a former general and a Politburo member who served as the vice chairman of China's Central Military Commission, was jailed in 2016 for accepting bribes. Ling Jihua, a former senior aide to the former Chinese president Hu Jintao, was sentenced to life imprisonment in 2016 for bribery, abuse of power, and illegally spilling state secrets to rivals. His downfall came after reports of an alleged cover-up for his son, who died along with 2 partially dressed women while driving his Ferrari in Beijing in 2012. The identities of those inside the Ferrari were not revealed, and censors blocked online comments mentioning the crash. son Chiang Kai, a former Politburo member and considered by many as a contender for the party's top leadership, was sentenced to life imprisonment in 2018 for bribery. He was found guilty of taking bribes worth more than $26.7 million.
The generals were planning a coup against Xi Jinping. So, however, this was leaked 2 hours before they were going to take action. So Xi Jinping acted first and arrested them. And this is such a huge, you can say, change in both in military and in Chinese politics. But why they were so impatient or so urgent to announce their case, it means Xi Jinping wants to announce want to show the party that he was in control. He has the need to, you can say, to stop others from doing any more coup attempt against him. And he was so eager to announce that he is in control and he succeeded in suppressing their coup attempt. So I personally think the first theory is most likely the real case.
Another incident that defined strongman leader Xi Jinping's tightening grip on China was what the world witnessed in 2022. Xi's visibly frail predecessor Hu Jintao was being escorted out of a key Communist Party meeting during a 5-yearly leadership reshuffle, apparently at Xi's behest. After Hu Jintao stood up, he also reached out to take Xi's notes by mistake. China's leader moved Hu's hand away and took the notes back. Images of 2 men ushering the then 79-year-old from his seat and toward the exit were beamed across the world, leading to days of speculation over whether Hu was the victim of a deliberately public power play. The incident came at the end of the Communist Party's week-long Congress, which cemented Xi's position as China's most powerful leader since Mao Zedong. Xi's purges of top leaders aren't new for China. The roots of this arrangement stretch back to Mao Zedong, who famously declared that the party commands the gun. The saying has remained a guiding principle, ensuring that the PLA exists to protect the CCP's monopoly on power. The country had experienced a series of purges of leaders in the era of Mao Zedong, who was the leader of China, the founder of the People's Republic of China, and the chairman of the Chinese Communist Party. Mao Zedong started the Cultural Revolution in China from 1966 to 1976. It was not a revolution to overthrow the government or people in power. Instead, it aimed to purge capitalist and traditional elements from Chinese society and to reassert Mao's authority. Under Mao, marshals were purged not for incompetence but for insufficient ideological submission. Peng Dehuai was forced out in 1959 after criticizing the catastrophic Great Leap Forward, accused of colluding with the Soviet Union to undermine Mao. Lin Biao, Mao's appointed successor, was accused of plotting a coup with Soviet backing. Biao's death in a mysterious plane crash in 1971 ended the illusion of security at the top. Even Mao's closest collaborator, Liu Shaoqi, the regime's chief enforcer and nominal head of state, was not spared. Mao labeled him a renegade, traitor and scab, and Liu died after brutal torture. This goes to show that absolute loyalty offered no immunity to these top leaders. As we have seen, history bears this out. Whether during the upheavals of the Cultural Revolution or the Tiananmen crackdown of 1989, the PLA's role has been to preserve party control above all else. This is the smallest CMC since Mao's era, and the PLA's professional leadership has been systematically hollowed out by Xi. Compromising two people possessing minimal operational military experience, can the CMC function as intended?
If she succeeds in elevating a new cadre of better trained and cleaner, less corrupt generals, then perhaps the PLA will turn into a more formidable force in cross-strait relations, and Beijing will have a stronger ability to intimidate and coerce leaders in Taipei and to deter leaders in Washington and other Western capitals from coming to Taiwan's help.
The implications of this party army model extend well beyond Beijing. From Taiwan to the South China Sea or the India-China border, the PLA's operational logic is shaped less by national defense considerations than by the CCP's need to project strength and preserve legitimacy. As for Taiwan, China considers Taiwan its own territory and has threatened to take control of the island by force if necessary. China has increased military pressure and in the past few years has increased its large-scale military drills around Taiwan. The pieces are now lining up in a way that could embolden Xi to escalate Chinese economic and military pressure on Taiwan in the next few years. Taiwan will hold elections in January 2028. If Lai Ching-te, the current president, is re-elected, it will mark the fourth straight time that Taiwan voters have elected a candidate from the Democratic Progressive Party, which favors maintaining the democratically ruled island's de facto independence. This could be seen by Xi as further narrowing the path toward peaceful unification on Beijing's terms. On the other hand, if Lao loses, it might just hand over the presidency to a party that is more open to closer ties with China.
We, of course, need to watch closely of what's happening. If Xi Jinping really succeeded in consolidating his own power, I think China may well enter a North Korea model and become like a North Korea-like countries and be in a very low level of the economic, you can say, development. And another model is to consolidate his power and to diverse the attention or the crisis of the economic crisis inside China. She could risk a war against Taiwan to diverse the attention from the country. So it could be, I think, overall, China has entered a very dangerous state where things are very uncertain and very unpredictable.
From Mao's purges and gun-barreled doctrine to Xi's purges and ideological campaigns, the People's Liberation Army has always been structured to ensure the Communist Party's survival, regardless of the cost. With recent developments in China, the Commission is now left with only one of its 6 members actively serving, with Xi Jinping presiding as chairman. It remains unclear whether the 5 vacant positions will be filled soon, or if Xi plans to consolidate power by waiting it out. Whatever the outcome, this party-first loyalty represents not just a domestic peculiarity, but also a significant global risk.